Does newer actually mean better? This computer has been rocking the B580 for a while and it's been a great card, but we're going to see how the 12 gigs of VRAM on the newer technology runs against the A770 on the older technology with 16 gigs of VRAM. Now I know Intel's really been like stepping up their game when it comes to their driver support. So does the newest card in the Intel lineup hold up against the oldest card that can be had for cheaper price? We'll see. All right, so we've got our ASRock B580 and our Sparkle A770. They just happen to both be white. I didn't mean for that on purpose, but a good deal is a good deal. When you can pick up an A770 for $200, the B580s, I think MSRP is $250. I think they sell closer to $275. 16 gigs of VRAM, 12 gigs of VRAM. Which one do you think is going to do better? All right, so testing the B580, we're going to use XeSS so we can test the technology of these cards and see how they're working. We've got ray tracing on medium. We've got settings on high. Everything else is on high. I'm going to apply these settings and run the benchmark. Looks like we're sticking at a pretty playable 68 FPS. That's with ray tracing and high settings. So, hey, XeSS has really come a long way. We'll run this also with the A770, see how these do. We're getting almost 1,000 FPS in the loading screen, so you know it's doing good. Okay, so we've got the same kind of preset here, XeSS, ray tracing on medium, everything else is on high. Let's run this benchmark and see how it does. I mean, not horrible. 90 FPS on a $200 graphics card with 16 gigs of VRAM. I don't think you're really going to get a... Ooh, we got a couple little stutters there. And now we're dipping down into the 50s. After I was just praising this card for doing so well. But a playable 60 FPS, yeah, you can get it with a 16 gig graphics card with ray tracing, doing all of that. All in all, not a bad showing for the A770. Okay, so now we are in arc raters. We've got 1080p. We've got, let's see, XeSS running on quality. Motion blur turned off. Dynamic low on the ray tracing. And then medium for everything else. Well, that's interesting. Late raid on Stella-Montis. But running around in Stella-Montis, we are getting 125-ish FPS. I call that pretty good. It's all been searched, but you know, our numbers look good. All right, coming outside, we're dipping around 100. Let's go on to the next game, and we'll try this on the A770. Going into Stella-Montis again. Who knows? Maybe we'll get ratted. XeSS quality. Everything should be the same. It does look like the older card isn't doing as well as the newer card. Previously we were getting about 100 FPS, and now we are only getting 80, 85. Same settings. Drivers are all correctly installed and everything for this card. So it does look like we are getting slightly worse performance on the older card. In that game, B580 definitely took the W. Dropping into Fortnite, we're running about 60 FPS, which seems bad. We're running DirectX 12, 1080, VSync off. Graphics quality, let's just run high. So we're running the high preset and we are getting 60, 70 FPS. That seems bad. I do know that they say like your second drop is generally better, but this is relatively bad for a modern PC. Yeah, that or Fortnite's just gotten so demanding. You used to be able to run Fortnite on basically anything. Let's see if we can turn on XeSS. I don't know if that's a thing. Alright, turning on XeSS doesn't really get us anything. It's about 70 FPS in Fortnite with what I'm assuming is high graphics because everything looks really good. And it died. So, like that. 70 FPS in Fortnite on the B580. Alright, we are dropping into Fortnite on the A770. We're going to try to get back to that same place that we were at before. Just so, you know, we have the same kind of things going on. And I died. But, hey, we did pretty well FPS-wise. Played pretty good. Looked good. I can't complain there. Now, it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't at least run Time Spy. I don't know why I love it so much. I just do. Weirdly enough, as we're recording this, the fans for the graphics card kicked off, so it felt like it wasn't doing enough work to justify having the fans on, which I guess, I mean, if it's doing what it's doing. So we'll see how the Time Spy score runs on the B580, and then we'll start comparing these to the A770. And just like that, we have a Time Spy score of 13,893 for the B580. Graphics score of 14,695. The CPU score shouldn't change over the two courses, but see how this compares to the A770. Alright, so now it's Time Spy time on the ARC A770. Older card, but more VRAM. Is it going to score higher? Not to say too much, but I do feel like these frame rates are a bit higher. We'll have to see what the end test score says. 13,200. So 13,666. That's pretty well right on. I'm pretty sure that's pretty dang close to right on. I'll have to clip in here and say what the comparison was, but I don't think that's all that bad. Okay, so we just got done testing the B580 versus the A770. And while the A770 does have 16 gigs of VRAM, in most games, it was completely beat out by the B580. I think in Arc Raiders, it was about a 10, 20 FPS difference. Fortnite was a 10 FPS difference. Time Spy scores are about 1,000 point difference. You would think that that 16 gigs of VRAM would help it out, but maybe if we were pushing 1440p or something along those lines, we could be getting a little bit more use of all of that VRAM. But in the 1080p, what most people are going to be playing at on a more budget system with a more budget card, we're looking at the B580. It does have a little bit higher of a price point, but it did beat out against the A770. So realistically, if you can get an A770 in the $200 range, and B580s are going for like the $275, $250, $300 range, A770 might be the card for you, especially if you're going to be playing at 1440p where you might need that extra VRAM. All in all, I'd be happy with either of them. They are great cards, but the little bit of money that you save from the A770 can definitely make a difference in your other components if you're trying to do a price to performance build, something along those lines. It's not a bad card to go with. While the newer technology does beat out, the A77 still holding strong.